This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, it's Alex, it's the Ramble. We going until midnight tonight from the East Coast of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. How was that?
Hello, Alex.
How was that?
That was great.
Professional introduction.
Very professional, yes.
Yes.
Concise, professional.
Yeah. How you doing?
Good. I guess today, California, we're taking our masks off. So.
Really? Well, you know what happened here in New York? We hit herd immunity. We hit 70% vaccination.
Okay. Now that means that so that makes it so the virus can't. It makes it very hard for the virus to find a target, right? That's
right. By the way, for people listening, I'm sure when this runs, this will run probably on a Friday. This is old news to a lot of you in New York. But the governor made an announcement today that we had hit 70% as an average for the entire state, something like 68% in Manhattan, for instance. But that's close enough, and he's opening everything. You know, and he didn't say anything about masks, but I just assume that's the same, no masks either.
Well, that's good news.
Oh, it's great news. It's terrific news. I mean, after a long national nightmare.
This was the worst year and a half of our lives, God.
After a year of disinfecting our packages. This is really, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I just heard that, in Japan, you know what their vaccination rate is?
I think it's 3%.
3%.
And they're holding the Olympics. Morons.
Well, I wonder why. I wonder if that's just a cultural thing, or.
I think it's who knows if it. I don't think it's a cultural thing. I mean, come on. That's where all the bugs come from anyway. I'm not trying to pull a Trump here when I say that, but the fact is that all flus start in Asia. Okay, usually on farms.
Usually more in China than Japan, but
yeah, but nevertheless, Japan's close enough to China where they become the recipients of the diseases, and to not only have 3% vaccination rate is absurd. It is absolutely absurd. Then you had morons like the governor of Texas making it illegal for businesses to say you have to be vaccinated to come in. And then making it illegal to have vaccine passports. I mean, come on.
Well, California has, you don't have to show a passport. They have to take your word.
They have to take your word. It's the honor system.
You're right.
Well, there's a certain logic in that I guess I could go along with if you really want to, fight the logic here on this deal. If there is any logic to any of this. But the fact of the matter is that if you're vaccinated, you're probably not going to get it. And you're probably not going to give it to anybody else. So if you go in somewhere and you're not vaccinated, you're taking a chance on catching it.
Yeah, they're the ones that are taking that chance.
Yeah, but the people who are vaccinated are not going to. So I don't know why we need to ask if you're vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, okay, well, you're going to come in and you may catch something. Right?
Maybe this will be our second don't ask, don't tell.
Well, I question whether we really need to ask people if they're vaccinated. Because if people want to take the risk of not being vaccinated and going into places without masks and so on, they're risking getting COVID. And if they want to risk getting COVID, okay, go ahead. You know, you selfish.
That's their choice.
You selfish fuck. I hope you die. You know, I mean.
Well, I think in a year this virus will be all but forgotten.
Well, you say all but forgotten. I don't think the results of the what's happened in the last year is going to go away. I think.
I think there's going to be some economic blowback from all this.
Well, I think there's also going to be a psychological blowback as well. I don't know that I'm ready to go to a crowded theater anymore. You know? And part of the reason is, why should I go there and get a cold? Okay? You know, because we know now that those places have not been ventilated well enough, and the air has not been cleaned well enough to prevent you from, say, getting a cold or the yearly flu. You know, the colds and flus went down almost to nothing this year because we were all wearing masks. So, have we learned a lesson about the mask? You know, I just might, when it comes to that time of the year when it's flu season, I'll get the flu shot, but I'll probably wear a mask too. Why not? And who knows what's coming next anyway? So,
there'll be something else.
But you haven't been vaccinated yet.
Not yet. I'm going to get the single dose, the Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, it's not as 100% effective, or as I think Moderna and Pfizer are like 95% effective, and Johnson & Johnson is something like 88 or 85, something like that. But
yeah, but you only have to do it once. That's a big plus, I think.
You know, I didn't mind getting the second one. You know, I mean, you just made an appointment and you went back and you got it. You know, and today it's so easy to get a shot. I mean, you just walk in, they give it to you. But then when I got it, you waited in line. The first line I waited in was 2 hours. Yeah, the second time we went in, I told my wife, she was kind of having leg problems with her leg, and I said, bring a cane. And she said, why? I said, just trust me, bring a cane. So she brought a cane with her, and we got out of the car. There was a whole line waiting to get in, and some people said, oh, you're seniors. Why don't you just come right with us? And then they led us to the front of the line, and they said, you take that one, you take that one. We didn't have to wait. We were home before our appointment.
So you got to take that senior advantage.
Believe me, you know. I mean, come on. I've gotten old. I'm cranky. All my bones in my body ache. I take a walk, and for me, a brisk walk, is 1.5 miles. Okay? And which is probably laughable to you because you run twice, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, everything's a little more difficult. So why don't I get that advantage that I told I was going to get when I got older? Like, I get on a subway car, and they say, oh, please, take my seat.
Yeah.
No, never happened, you know. I never got the senior advantage. Forget about the discount. I'll take the advantage. You know, so I just find that you know, being older never got me anything special now, except that one day when they said go to the front of the line. So the second one was easy peasy. Marjorie got sick after it for a day. And
for one day?
Yeah, for one day. And then it was all okay, you know. And the relief that it gives you, the freedom that it gives you is very liberating. I mean, once I got that second dose and the 2 weeks had passed, I went, I'm home free. You know, I'm not going to die from this thing. I mean, even if I get it, I'm not going to die from it. So, you know, I mean, that was pretty pretty liberating, I think. The first time I went out without a mask, because they said, if you're outdoors, you don't have to wear a mask now. And people still do. It's if you haven't been vaccinated, you still have to wear the mask. But if you've been vaccinated, no need to wear the mask. And the first time I walked down the street without the mask on for months, because the mask's, really hard to breathe when you're wearing the mask and walking, right, at a brisk pace. And,
yeah.
And anyway, the first time I did that, it was like the first time. You remember the first time you ever went swimming naked in a pond somewhere or a swimming pool? That feeling of freedom, your balls are just floating. I got that feeling. That rush. That it was all okay now. It was all going to be fine. So, and the fact that for how many months did we live in a atmosphere of, especially in my case, because of my age, and your age certainly falls into that category. I lived in fear. We didn't go out. I didn't leave the house for months. And if I did, I went down to the grocery store and I went with rubber gloves on and 2 masks.
Wow.
And you were very careful about all of it. And then you came home and you took a shower with Purell. And when we get an Amazon package, right? And they would bring it, and we'd have our masks on our gloves when the people came, and then we would take the package and we put it in our foyer, and we would imagine how fancy I am. I have a foyer. We would just douse it with disinfectant, spray it with disinfectant, and let it sit there for 3 days before we'd open it. Yeah. There was no such thing as overnight with Amazon. It was like 3 days because we had to let it sit there in the foyer. We came to find out those things were a bit unnecessary, but we didn't know it back then, And
you took no chances.
The last thing you wanted to do was to get this horrible, horrible, horrible flu. This killed. We hit 600,000. We've hit 600,000 people dead. And they claim that it may be well over 1 million. We just don't know. But for the ones we do know, it's 600,000. That's pretty scary,
Well, not as scary as 100 years ago, but...
Well, I think this may be scarier because actually if the Spanish flu hit today, no problem. Antibiotics, boom, taken care of. In those days, we didn't have the medicines to do it with, So, the Spanish flu, also, if they didn't have a war over in Europe, actually, the Spanish flu started on a military base here in the United States.
Started, in Kansas, and then the soldiers took it over to Europe, and then that got spread all over the world.
Did they call that the American flu? No, they
should have, yeah.
They called it the Spanish flu. Now, why is it the Spanish flu if it started here?
Because I think the guys that took it over there, that's where they got the big outbreaks, because they got it here, and then when they went over there, that's when it started spreading like crazy.
So it was the Spanish flu. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how many people died with that? I think...
Worldwide, they say 50 to 100 million, and the population was a fourth of what it is now.
Wow.
I think it killed 600,000 here, and our population was like 120 million.
Did it kill 600,000? I don't think it was that many. Was it really?
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. I didn't
look it up with a third of our population, so it's almost like 2 million.
But we also didn't have the science to be able to fight it. The best thing we could do is tell people wear masks, and they did.
Some people did, yeah.
Yeah. If you look back at photographs of that era, everybody's wearing a mask when they're in a public venue of some sort.
That freaked people out so much they didn't even write about it much in history. People just wanted to forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, really terrible. Hey, listen, it looks like we may have run out of a little bit of time here.
Yeah, and we are definitely running out of time. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely running out of time. But if you're listening to this on Friday, yeah, I know it's not news now that COVID has been pretty much stymied in New York State. We hope that it gets this good in your states as well. There's some southern states where it's not true. But anyway, talk to you next week, Larry.
We will. Yes, we will.
Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. Ta-da.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
There's Larry, ladies and gentlemen. And we love, as we always say, we love Larry. Everybody loves Larry. Nobody doesn't love Larry. Okay? All righty. I'm turning up my stuff here and getting all my sound just right so I sound good. It's a Friday, folks, and we don't have a long interview today, so we can get right to our citizen panel if anybody decides to call to be part of the citizen panel. But who knows if that's going to be so. Hold on a second. I just got to put something here. What is it? What's the problem? We run this, they run this thing beforehand. Okay, there we go. I just want to make sure we were on. Okay. All right. Hello. How are you? It's, I took my walk today. Nice walk. Went out to the Mere that I like to go. I like to go over there. It's just, it's close and it's woodsy. Okay. And it's the top of Central Park. If you ever look at a map of Central Park in New York, it's the very top. There's kind of a lake up there called the Mere. And then, it is in the top right-hand corner of Central Park. And I go up there and I walk. And today I went out. In fact, I showed people what the sound was terrible, so I erased it. But I took people into an area where if you sat there, you feel like you're out in the country. You don't see anything that even resembles a city. And you get out there, and it's wonderful. It's just magic. And then you just maybe walk 50 feet in one direction or the other, and there's a road. And you're out, you can see the park and everything else. But you can get into that park and feel just completely lost in it, like you're in the country. And it's really nice. I got to say, I love it. I just absolutely, positively love the way it is there. And so I took a walk, and I walked up into the woods a little bit, and then I walked up some other places, and then I came back in a different way. I went a different. Well, actually, you can see here. I love this. This is on my iPhone. Let me see here. Do I have it? Where is it? Here it is. Look, now if I go here, I can actually show you. Here's where I walked, folks. See that? See that line? That was my walk today. And I went down. I even went around in an area. If you look at the very bottom there, I went into a certain area. And then it's like a circle. It's a big circular garden, and I walked around it because I wanted to see a circle on my map at the end of the day. But that's what I walked. See where my home is, and I walked all the way down there and all the way back. And every day I do this, it really is terrific. Makes me feel great. And I hear all my circles and stuff that I fill up every day, and that pretty much says it all. And so that's my walk. And it's, I started to think about it, and I said, I'm probably like getting to be an old man because I am taking my walk. I'm, got to take my walk today. Yep. So anyway, I took my walk, and I had a nice time, and it was terrific. Well, we only got 2 people waiting to talk to me right now. And probably a lot of that has to do with the fact that I usually have been going like 25 minutes, and last night I went 40 minutes before I got to my citizen panel, so I'm getting what I deserve. Also, I am considering, and one of the thoughts I have about this show is moving it to just Fridays. Just Fridays. Then everybody will be waiting to come on and talk to me, and everybody will be excited. Here, everybody takes it for granted now, and people don't call anymore, and or they don't. It's not the way it was, and so I've been considering that as one of the plans. The other one is a shorter show, but I don't know that would help at all. I want something that's going to make this whole thing a little more precious than it is, and I notice that most people on the web don't do 4 shows a week, but it's the old radio thing in me that says, hey, you got to do 4 shows a week or 5 shows a week, and it's got to be 3 hours, but I've cut it down to an hour and a half. But that's an old radio concept. And I think that maybe if you just do like 1 great show a week, and I'd also keep my Monday thing going that those people love. I just love those people. That if I kept that going, then between the 2 things, everything would be a little more special, But I can't, I can't figure it all out. So I'm just going to try and decide what I'm going to do later on, and we'll have with that. Okay, let me go to, we have, what is it, 4 people waiting? Okay. Well, actually, we have, let me see here. I did that. Wait a minute. Oh, I got to do this. Okay. Admit all. Okay. Watch as everybody pops in here. Here they go. There we go. There's John Larkin. There's Charlie Wallace. There's Josh Wheeler. There's Trucker Steve. We don't actually have Trucker Steve. We just have a picture of his truck. Actually, we have, let me see here. Wait a minute. And what's that? Who's got their audio on? There we go. All right. We're better now. Hello to John Larkin. Hello to Josh Wheeler, and hello to Charlie. And that's it, folks. For now. And Trucker Steve, who is not connecting his mic and doesn't seem to be in view. Maybe he got truck jacked or something. That's always a possibility. Hey there, Josh. How you doing?
I'm okay. How you doing?
Well, I'm glad you're really excited about the day. Yeah.
It's been a rough week.
It's been a rough week? How's it been a rough week?
I mean, work's pretty tough. You can't get anything to make anything.
What do you mean you
Supply
can't?
chain issues.
Well, explain that. You can't get anything to make anything?
No, a lot of supply chain issues, Now we can, as soon as you start making stuff, now we can't get packaging to put it in. And
why is that?
it's just supply chain shortages all over the U.S. of all different kinds. There's still a resin shortage for certain resins from the shutdowns in the Texas and Louisiana earlier in the year.
And is this all because of COVID?
A lot of it, yeah. And then, some of it was because of the shutdowns in Texas and Louisiana. A lot of resin is oil refined, and, a lot of the oil refineries are in those 2 states, and they were offline for a few weeks. And then there's manpower shortages because there's a labor shortage nationwide.
Do you have a labor shortage at your plant? He has works for a paint company.
Yeah, no, not really. No, that we're okay. Our other plant in town, our powder coatings plant, is short quite a few people and has not been able to hire, so they're having trouble keeping up. There's a tanker truck shortage. There's plenty of tanker trucks, but there's nobody to drive them. So even when there is resin available, there's no one to bring it to you, and just goes on and on and on. I'm pretty sick this week, and one of our cats died today.
Oh no!
Oh, shitty day,
That is a really shitty day. Losing a pet's terrible.
Yeah, she was pretty old, but
I know, and you say that, and you say goodbye, but you we really bond with an animal. You know, it's a wonderful bond actually, but it's a bond nonetheless. You know, so what the hell, you know?
Yeah.
Oh well. So it's not been a good week or a good day.
No, I mean, just I don't know how many people realize. It depends what industry you work in or whatever, but nationally there are some issues that are making it hard for many products to be either produced or delivered. And I think pretty much everyone's aware of, but maybe not to the extent of it. I mean, there's just a lot going on that keeps a lot of manufacturing right now from running. And even if they are running, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are doing, 5 or 10 times the work that they normally would have to do to just do their normal job. It's very, very stressful, and it's pretty tough. I mean, look, I'm bringing plastic pails in from California, Oregon, Nevada. I mean, that's how far away we have to go to get a simple thing that we use 20,000 of a week. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's just kind of the situation. Can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Does somebody have their audio on? Who? Oh well, it's gone now. So yes, John, did you say something?
Yeah. San Francisco's having this really bad problem with retail stores. They can't stay open because there's so much theft going on. There's people just going into Walgreens and CVS and just filling up bags of stuff with merchandise and just walking out the front of the place, and they can't do anything about it. And then they all go and sell it on Amazon, or they sell it at on the street in United Nations Plaza.
Well, you can't steal something and sell it on Amazon.
Why not?
Sure you can. Where do they know where it came from?
No, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Basically, normal products, I don't think they would let that happen. What you're probably thinking of, eBay, a lot of people will sell stuff they stole.
But how's Amazon going to know that if you got
Exactly.
a case laundry detergent? How are they going to know where you got it from?
Yeah, but how are you going to sell it? First of all, you have to get some kind of a relationship going with Amazon, and
So
then
what
they're going to say
these
why
Amazon sellers
no
they give a cut to the people that are stealing.
No. Well,
Yes,
that
they
could
do.
be. That could be. But I mean, if somebody just
Absolutely.
says, if I go on Amazon and say, I want to sell a case of Tide, they're not going to let me do it. They're going to go, what's your business? What
Oh
are you?
my
What
God,
do you?
no, they're not. The worst thing Amazon may do is dictate the price and say you have to.
Yeah, but you're going to tell me that there
shipping.
isn't a lot of stolen items sold on eBay?
Oh, on every site, Etsy, everything.
Yeah. Well,
The Gap closed. The main Gap on at Powell and Market, that closed. All the Walgreens are closed up. Look at it there.
Well, are they closing because of the theft, or are they closing? What is all that noise?
They're closed because of the theft.
What is all that? What is all that? Because of the theft, you say they're closing down? Or are they closing down because?
of theft.
Yeah, they can't do nothing about it. I mean, they can't afford. I mean, they'll hire a security guy to stand there and watch, but a security guy can't stop somebody from walking out of the store. I mean,
They showed one on TV the other night that filled up a garbage bag, and the security guy and the store manager sat there and videoed it the whole time while the guy was on his bicycle.
Yep.
And he was loading up a garbage bag with stuff off the shelf, and he tried to grab the bag as he was wheeling out the front onto Market Street.
Wow.
And they said that it was less than $950. They weren't even going to prosecute him anyway.
Well, the only problem we have here in New York is murder. So I mean,
They're just getting away with it because of that. It's because of that California law that they passed a couple years ago that they weren't going to prosecute anybody for that petty stuff. And
Why
they're
not?
getting away
Or
with
why,
it.
wait a
They
minute.
know
Why,
it.
why not? I mean, or is it that it was just costing the state too much to prosecute it?
That plus they're just letting everybody get away with it. You know, letting everybody get away with the petty crimes. I mean, even with stolen cars, they're letting them come in and processing them and letting them go.
My coffee just went down wrong.
You have a coffee too, somewhere?
I myself, if I had seen that, I would have gone and grabbed a nice bottle and would have whacked the fuck out of that motherfucker.
But you wouldn't do it.
Me? Oh, I would.
Oh, you'd get sued. You could get sued for that.
Yeah.
They'd
Yeah,
never know who did it. I have a mask on and a hoodie. Who's going to say anything? Motherfucker is ass out. Come get me.
Oh,
I'm going
boy.
to be a hero. They'd never know.
We thank you, masked lady.
Well, you know, I'm
Who was
saving
that
it
masked lady
for some money.
anyhow? And then you'd say, "Hi,
Right.
Volkswagen away." You know. Wow.
Hey, you know, we had an incident with critical race theory out in the valley. This poor teacher, so she's got this Nazi administrator over her shoulder. So I'm an advocate for special ed. So if a parent doesn't understand the whole special ed thing, I come in fully suited in a nice Armani suit with 4 attorneys, depending on, you know, I do my background on the school and I represent the parent and the child. So, you know, back in April, they went back to hybrid. So out in the valley, it wasn't our school district. This poor teacher, and she did not want to do this. So she has a Nazi administrator on her ass in the class. And there were 3 special ed kids. And so the poor teacher had to segregate them by race, ethnicity, sexual gender, religion, and disability. So she has to do all that, blah, blah, blah. Well, this poor special ed kid who is actually triracial in between classes was beat up, brutalized, and terrorized by 2 kids, one being African American, the other one being South Pacific. So I get a phone call and they tell me what's going on. I'd say, have the parent call me. The parent calls me and I said, you need to call the police. Well, no, my husband's affiliated, and I go, affiliated.
Well, wait a minute.
how?
Why are you asking them to call you? I mean, shouldn't they be doing whatever they got to do on their own?
No, because when it comes to special ed, I'm telling you, my son is on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, a lot of parents have to fight to get their kids to have the proper
Okay.
classroom thing. So I'm an advocate. There's a lot of people that
Okay. Understand. Okay, I was wondering what that
So
was.
what happens is the wife said, well, my husband's affiliated. And I go, well, like how? With a certain gang. And I go, well, listen, where's your husband now? He's at work. Listen, this has nothing to do with that. Do you have witnesses? Yes. Do you have statements? Yes. Okay. So I said, you need to call the police and you need to have these kids hooked up. They're 15 years old. So I'm driving to the valley and so I start saying, well, let me know about the parents, because listen, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So is it the parents that are raising the kids this way, or do these kids have issues? Because I'm going to do everything I can to get these kids help. Oh no, these families are just an absolute nightmare. Okay, well, was it the teacher? No, the teacher had a Nazi over her shoulder. Well, guess what? This family just got paid. The 2 families and the administrator sold their houses and paid.
Okay.
this family.
Let me stop you there, because what you're getting into are the minutia of this whole situation, and it kind of gets a little lost in translation.
You know, certain aspects of this with the CRT I agree with, but once you start segregating the kids, especially kids that do not have the mental capacity to understand this, what happened is this kid was triracial. He is very light-skinned, Mexican, Eurasian. So his mom is.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this is kind of a real personal case, and it doesn't it doesn't make a lot of sense to the rest of us. You know, I mean, you get what I'm saying? It's like you're dealing with the minutia of it. If you looked at
the whole thing is becoming a nightmare. I mean, there's families.
Well,
going,
apparently it is, because you seem bothered by it. You know.
I mean, when I have attorneys, I mean, this kid was beat up terrorized. I mean, a broken arm and 2 black eyes.
And what was the reason why? In other words, what was
because the kid didn't know whether to answer whether he was an oppressor or oppressed.
Well, wait a minute.
So
by
he
who?
said-
Who was he asked this by?
By the teacher.
What? And then the kids beat him up for that?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know. I'm glad I'm not.
This is
I'm
some
glad
of the
I don't
stuff
have.
that's-
I'm glad I don't have a kid to send to school.
Oh, I'm telling you, I mean,
A nightmare.
the way they're going about this
Mhm.
is really wrong. I mean,
Mm.
especially when it comes to kids that don't have the capacity to understand it.
Yeah. Anyway, here comes Jeffrey. Okay, I wonder where Jeffrey was. We also haven't heard from
John.
Brian. This is the second night we haven't heard from Brian.
Hey, John, you should go to work as security there. Make a lot of money. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, right.
What happened to Schmoody?
I just got a message. Hold on.
Oh.
Hey,
Sorry.
Hey, John, I was spending a lot of time over there where you are for COVID. And as you know, probably, there's already a lot of stuff going on before the virus.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do
Yeah, I
with
mean, you see it all the time.
it's got nothing to do with the virus. It's just
Well, there's been an increase in crime. Like, for instance, here in New York, murders are up. But I think I knew that was going to happen. I said to a girlfriend when we were in the middle of COVID, when this is over, there's going to be a crime spree. People are going to go crazy. Okay.
Yeah, Alex, they're shooting every night. I listen to 1010 Wins at night when I go to bed. Listen to the radio. Every night I hear the news. Another shot. Another person shot. They hit some guy in the back of the head. Some gang fight the other night.
I saw something on TV today of some guy shooting a guy.
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
these 2 kids were in the
Yeah, did
middle
you
of
see
it.
that? I couldn't believe it. I think it was up in the Bronx.
Come on. Okay, Alan's got his hand up.
It was
Alan,
wild.
guns.
Wasn't that crazy?
What? What's with the guns, huh? What's with the guns?
You got to get Phil on. What has he got to say about this?
Well,
They're
wait a minute.
shooting
Wait a
each
minute.
other like it's
Al
for
is
the pitch.
Al's a big gun guy. You know.
What about it?
Well,
What
I mean,
about it?
what happened to?
The Wild West here.
What do you want to know? People have guns. People use guns. What do you want to know?
Well, they use them. They use them badly.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the thing, and and I fit partly in this. The liberal people want to defund the police. Okay, now a lot of places are defunding the police, so the crimes are going up. What do you want?
I think what they should do.
Well, I think that the idea of defunding the police is a bad idea. I think the idea to
I agree.
Wait a minute. I think the idea to refund the police is more in line with what we should be talking about, and that is that we need to be looking at the police budgets and saying, hey, there's too much money being spent here. Let's take some of that away and let's appropriate the money in the ways it should be appropriated. I also think that we should do away with cops going out on domestic calls.
So in Los Angeles, the defund the police backfired on the black community. A white officer gets dispatched to a black fight or something like that. They drive up to the call, say they're there. If the fight's in the street, they sit in the car and watch it. And then if nobody gets
well,
killed,
I disagree with you that it's defunding the police because we're still too near. It was too near the time when people were yelling defund the police, but there haven't been any real moves to defund them.
Oh yeah, there has.
Well, like where?
Well, in like Minneapolis, they're talking about going to private police.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I don't like that idea at all.
People are radicals, but nobody serious is talking about defunding the police. It's all, it's just all these radicals. But
You got to get off MSNBC, John.
No,
No, I agree with John Larkin. I mean, that a lot of people were talking about defunding the police and should we defund the police? Turn on your camera, Schmoody. All we get is a gray picture.
Good.
Oh, there we go. There you go.
Oh, the breasts.
He went, oh, the
There
breath.
you go. Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah, I always when I went with her, I always liked flying with her because if the plane was going to crash in water, I had 2 flotation devices with me.
You betcha. I've got floaties, as my niece would say, water lemons.
Water lemons. Anyway,
Yep.
no, but the point is that the defund the police thing, a lot of people talked about it, very few people did anything about
Yeah,
it.
they started thinking about it and realized that's not a very good idea.
Well, I mean, I think we have to refund the police. I think we have to go to each police department, look at what they're spending, where they're spending it, how they're appropriating the resources, and also include in that a great deal of educational programs for the policemen, and also a lot of psychiatric work done on the policeman to make sure they're the type of person that should be standing out there on a street corner with a gun in his holster.
So
And you know, the
San
whole
Francisco,
police immunity thing is, good God,
Yeah.
is
Well-
bullshit.
so in San Francisco, they're trying a new thing,
Mhm.
and they're doing kind of what you're asking. They are taking people that are nuts on the street,
Mhm.
people that are nuts in general and need services, and they're taking it out of the police's hands and giving it to a psychologist. That's good and fine, except for a lot of police officers that are killed dealing with crazy.
Yes,
So
but
now-
they feel that these psychiatrists or these mental health experts will be better equipped to deal with people who are irrational like that, and also because they don't show up with a gun, they don't show up with their lights blazing. Wait a minute, on their police car, that's going to defuse the situation. Where sending a cop infuses the situation.
I have no qualms about that. I agree. I think you're right. The trouble is the bad guys, you know, the people that are crazy or that are having a domestic fight, don't always want somebody to interfere, and those people are going to get killed at a much higher rate than the police, because the police have bullet-resistant vests and ways to defend themselves.
I still think that if you send somebody out who is a professional with this sort of thing, they will know how to be able to calm down these situations. I don't think a cop showing up with a gun, with a gun and with mace and all those other things, and with a car with the lights blazing, is necessarily something that's going to defuse even a domestic dispute.
Okay. We're gonna find out.
If they have cops,
if the psychologists start getting killed.
Yeah. Okay.
if they have cops walking the beat more often, I think that things would be a lot better.
Well, they walk the beat in San Francisco a lot.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
but they don't do that everywhere.
No, they
Not
don't.
like in the old days.
No, they don't. You're right.
Did you have your hand up, Ray?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I believe that in England and France and some other countries, the cops usually don't show up with guns. And I've watched a couple of videos. They seem to be better trained at calming people down, I noticed.
I'm not.
And they are police. They are police. They're not psychologists. But they seem to have a little more training.
I think we have very badly, overall, the whole country, I think we have badly trained police. And I think they're badly trained because, especially when you get to some of the smaller communities, they don't have the budgets to train them like they should. In England, I believe training for a cop takes a year. Here, it's only like 6 weeks. That's
You know
it.
what I
Then
think
you're
they
on the
should
beat
do
with a
now?
gun on your hip. What?
You know what I think they should do? My sister's friend, and I know him, Tim, he's a retired cop. He signed up first. He's like 56. He signed up first out of high school to go to the Army. So he did 4 years in the Army. Then he came out, took a police test, and went in. And he felt by going to the military, that got him in the right frame of mind to train, know how to use a gun. He was actually more, he never fired at one guy one time, 20 years. He took his gun out, never fired, right?
Yeah.
He says, like, my nephew's friend, Logan, he's in the academy now, the kid. If you saw this kid, I can't see how, I told my sister, how this kid Logan's going to be a cop, they're going to eat him alive. He is so white.
I'll tell you, every time we see some kind of altercation between the police and somebody with a gun and so on, Marjorie always says to me, and she's right, why don't they shoot for the legs?
Well, they aim to shoot for the chest. Tim, they're right. They shoot to kill.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
Right? Am I right about that? When that gun comes out, they're firing
shooting
it
to
like
kill, and Alan was a cop, so he can answer this for me. But shooting to kill seems to be the order of the day, rather than the exception, which it should be.
What do you
They're
suggest?
trained to shoot at the midsection because all your movement, and we learned this in basketball, all your movement comes from the belly.
I love that.
I mean, try shooting someone doing a damn jig.
Kathleen?
Yes.
When you were dating Alex, did he ever watch a basketball game with you? I was wondering if you ever flipped the game on.
No, one time, Bob Rubin and I were in the other apartment, and because Bob Rubin loved the New Orleans Saints. Okay. And so Bob and I are in the other apartment. We're watching football, and Alex comes in, and he's like, oh, Kathleen. And Bob turns to me and goes, busted.
I mean, I think maybe if you had the
so busted.
Yeah. Yes, Ray.
Using a polar
I just wanted to say one thing for the shoot to kill. If you don't shoot in the midsection and you happen to be able to hit the arm or leg, which let me tell you is hard with a pistol when someone's moving and things are escalated, they're hyped up, their adrenaline's going, you hit someone in the leg, they can still shoot you.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem to shoot somebody in the arm or the leg.
All I'm saying is that when you're a cop and you show up, you have at your disposal, more devices to protect yourself between the bulletproof vests and all that stuff that's on the belt. You got the mace, you got the tasers, you got the gun, you got the this, you got the that. Plus, you got a two-way radio where you can call for more help. Quite frankly, I think the cop is more protected in his job than I am in mine. Okay.
Most cops are killed in domestic disputes. And most of the time it's a man because the woman's getting the shit beat out of her. She calls 911.
But it's like
the husband's like.
But it's like I was saying. It was like I was saying a few moments ago. If we didn't send out cops, we sent out mental health professionals to those kind of things. And they don't show up with guns. You're probably not going to have as many people dying as the result of this domestic disputes. I think what causes it is people showing up with guns, with their lights blazing, the whole thing. The whole nature of it only incites an already bad situation.
It's true. When you see a cop car,
if this guy has a gun and he's threatening his significant other, anybody comes to the door is fair game.
Alex, why don't you just admit it? You're totally against the police. Everybody else on the show is defending the police, and you're
to be honest with you, for years and years and years, I've actually hated the police. Yes,
and we know.
Yes, and it comes from and you can't say that over the years the police haven't been absolutely terrible. I mean,
why hate the police? I'm neither Democrat or Republican. I hate both sides because they're so fucked up. But I truly hate politicians because the politicians are the ones that set the rules for everything else. And they decimated our mental health facilities.
Yeah,
and they released everybody into society.
It's a good example
safety nets.
In California, Ronald Reagan was the guy who closed down all the mental facilities and put the people out on the streets.
We just came back from Brooklyn, me and my brother, for cake. And you had to see getting on the expressway. This guy had a whole tent up. It was sad, begging. Like he had a tent up.
Where were you, did you say?
We were coming back from Brooklyn from some cake. We went to get cake.
Yeah, I thought you said
and we were coming back on the expressway, right? But we went past my mom's old house, too. So when we're going on the expressway, this guy's always there. My brother said, look, he's there again. He never leaves. It's sad because you see so many homeless. They need to be rounded up. They can't be living like this. Yeah. Reagan is a despicable human being.
Yeah, well, that hit California. Let me ask you. Hold on a second. I want to bring some people into this conversation who've been quiet, like Josh and Kevin and so on. Josh, how do you feel about this? I mean, you don't agree with the funding of the police, do you?
No, I would not. I mean, if you want to make some simple reforms of certain policies, I think that's fine. And I would say we could make an investment into them for, training and resources and, other things to back them up. And, look, if some departments want to hire psychologists or people trained with, traumatic events. I would say that's probably a worthy idea. I mean, I think I read a headline anyway earlier that said Missoula, Montana or somewhere was going to do that. And I mean, even in backwoods places that you wouldn't think about, not large cities or whatever, are going to try that. And I think if you want to maybe send those people out, or have them assigned to a precinct, and maybe when some of these calls go in, they can make their way over there, and the police can sort of, step aside and let that person kind of take the lead. I mean, no different than you would do with like a hostage negotiator.
Right,
whatever.
Exactly.
Who's going to come in and try to do that. But then, look, there reaches a point where,
We actually, you mentioned hostage.
When the safety of the public
you mentioned hostage negotiations. In those cases, we actually do employ psychology. It's not uncommon. Why we don't apply that same rule of thumb to domestic disputes, as an example.
Yeah, so, not every call needs the same thing. I mean, I think that's the thing about, police work is.
Yeah. By the way,
my observation would be that there are probably no two domestic violence calls or any other similar, alleged crime that is the same and can always be handled based on the manual. I mean, a lot of it is just train your people and hope that they have enough training to adapt to every situation they find them in. And that's a difficult thing to ask. That's why police work is a difficult job. I mean, but like a defunding the police type thing, I mean, that's stupid. I mean, come on. I mean, you want to change some policies or whatever, fine. But I mean, doing away with police or having less officers or whatever, it's not going to solve.
I got to say something. I got to say something to Alan, and that is that my dislike for the police is wholly observational, because I have never in my life been arrested for anything. Okay. And have never had any kind of altercation with a policeman that would get me arrested.
I heard you were slapped around in Miami.
No, I wasn't slapped around in Miami, but I was terrorized by the police in Miami.
That's what I meant.
Yes, for nothing.
Bad choice of words.
Okay, because somebody had called the police department and said, this guy on the radio is saying horrible things about the police department. And I hadn't been saying horrible things about the police department. It was somebody who just didn't like my show. And the next thing I know, these cops are pulling me over with a police dog snarling, telling me to put my hands on the car and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know what the hell's going on here.
So can I say something without you cut me off in the middle? You asked me a question, Alex, and I was trying to answer it, but you cut me off. And so I am not against sending psychologists out. What I'm saying is that, like Kathleen said, a lot of those people end up dying in the line of duty. More police officers are killed in traffic stops and domestic disturbances than anywhere else.
Yeah, now, how many people are actually killed in domestic disturbances that the cops don't get to?
Okay, well, that's
I mean, what we're talking about is that you're saying that police get killed, but they don't get killed probably disproportionately to the public. Okay? You're just saying it because they have a dangerous job. They have a dangerous job and they took it. But they do have a lot of things in their favor. They have the equipment they need. They have supposedly the training they need to handle these kinds of situations. Now you're defending
it. A few minutes ago you were against it.
Defending what?
The police and psychologists.
No, I'm not. I'm not defending. Here's what I'm saying. I've never been arrested in my life.
That's good.
Nor have I been accused of any crime in my life. But I have had this visceral dislike for the police because I have observed how they act. And when it came time for me to be protesting something like the war in Vietnam, I suddenly realized the police weren't on my side. The police didn't want to uphold my right to free speech. They wanted to kick me in the shins in Times Square when I was protesting.
Okay. What does this have to do with the police?
It has a lot to do with my attitude about
disturbance.
police. Well, it has a lot to do with my attitude about police. Yes, Kathleen.
So take it from someone who has been in and out of jail from the time I was 19 till I was 24. Aggravated assault, traffic violations.
You mean I was going with a I was going with a con?
Oh my
Well,
God.
no, because by that time I rigged up.
Yeah.
And I also have a BA in criminology with a minor in psychology because I wanted to know all the laws and I wanted to know why I was doing the shit I was doing. The cops were nothing but good to me, and you know, about 3 or 4 times I was a class A asshole.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised, Kathleen, you didn't become a cop. I think you would have done good.
Kevin?
I couldn't pass the background. But my uncle, who was head of homicide in Oakland for years, Sergeant
But you
John
did
Vargas,
you did do security for UPS.
well, yeah.
Yeah, so
But
you were
my
kind of.
uncle
I used to
said
call you a
would have
UPS
been the
cop.
one to talk the person off the bridge
Really?
because you just have that type of personality.
Yeah.
I mean, I got numerous employees out of the game.
Yeah. Kevin, why don't you join in on this? How do you feel about the defunding attitude about the cops?
I don't agree with defunding. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but do you think
I've seen a lot of, I watch some of these cop shows, and I've seen a lot of cops actually de-escalate a lot of situations on their own.
Yeah.
And I think it's the ones with the proper training that can do it. It's the ones, we constantly hear the bad apples, and those are the ones that stick out all the time. I think there's a lot of them out there that do good work, and I think that those are the ones that we don't hear about. I agree that there probably is a good situation, like Josh was saying, that there's a good situation where, they could be brought, the situation escalates a little bit, and then we bring in the psychologist and then back the guns away. That could probably be resolved, so that the tension is lowered a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be good, but defunding is not going to do anything but screw things up. I don't agree with it at all. I mean,
you know what? When it comes to cops, so I did retail security for Target in the 80s and 90s. I worked in Pittsburgh/Antioch, and all we ever busted were hypes. And listen, my job was to protect the assets. I had nothing against the thieves. I mean, there were certain reasons why people steal, and I certainly understood that. So we'd get people in the office, and I was nice as pie. Hey, if you have any needles, heroin, just put it up on the table. I will tell the officer you totally, if you drop it, there's a white sheet, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I remember busting this gal, and she goes, "Oh my God, I heard about you down at the methadone center." Okay, so within certain cities, the gangsters, the thieves know who the good cops are and who the assholes are. And
So you
the
look at
assholes end up with a badge on the wall. You know what a badge on the wall means? They're going to shoot and kill you because you're a fucking asshole. I mean, bottom line is we're all humans. If I bust you for shoplifting, I'm going to treat you the way I would like to be treated. And that's respectful.
Kevin wants to talk here.
But look at your situation, Alex. I'll bet you 9 out of 10 times when you were doing your protesting, you weren't over there throwing shit at a cop, right?
No.
You were just out there protesting.
No, but I got.
But it's all the dickheads that were out there throwing shit at the cops.
No, we weren't. We weren't in this
you.
particular case. We weren't throwing anything at anybody. We were just protesting.
But,
and the
but
cops
there were
came.
other people
The
that
cops
were
came up
doing
to us.
that,
The cops
which
came.
caused them to come after you.
But the cops came. No, nobody else was doing that. Not that night. It was New Year's Eve, in fact, in Times Square. Okay.
I think back
and wait a minute.
in the
Let me
day,
finish. Let me
cops
finish.
were
Let me.
assholes.
Can I finish?
I'm not defending them in that time. But
what
I
I'm
was around
saying,
at that
what I'm
time,
saying
too.
is that I remember they just came up to me. The cop looked at me like I was the worst kind of criminal ever, and he kicked me. He kicked me. He kicked me in the shin.
They were after the hippies. They were after the hippies.
Yeah, and they weren't respecting my right to protest the war in Vietnam,
right?
Which I had a right to protest.
Right.
Yeah, but so I would say two things about that. The first one I would say is all the like defund the police banter or whatever, or at least a good majority of it when it really ramped up was, because, Officer Chauvin, killed George Floyd in Minneapolis and all this kind of stuff. But I guess I would remind people, number one, that, okay, but he broke the law and he's now going to prison for it. I mean, so why do you need to defund the police?
Well,
if it's
to begin with,
he's going to prison.
Yeah, but I agree with you if that were the norm rather than the exception. But that is not the norm.
In the past, it has not been, but perhaps we are entering a new era. I mean, I think that we all agree that is going to be perhaps looked back on in 30 years from now on documentaries and PBS specials or whatever as a point where people sat at home and didn't necessarily know as much about why these blacks at these sit-ins and all that were getting this, that, and the other, and then wow, they saw it on camera and that was ridiculous.
And the question is did we have to go through all the riots and the burning buildings and everything else to get to that point? Could we have done it without all that?
Something. Let me talk. Let me just answer. Let me answer Kevin for a quick second here.
Okay.
The burning of buildings is the result. It's not the action itself. It's somebody once said, how can I prevent the infection if you can't prevent the disease? That we haven't done enough of our own homework to prevent that sort of thing. The fact is that when you have people burning buildings and so on, that is out of pure frustration. It's to get people's attention. It's like the old story about the guy who's going down the road and says, in a cart, you got to treat a donkey with love and kindness. And then the donkey just stops dead in his tracks, so he gets out of the wagon, takes a 2x4, and hits the donkey right between the eyes, and then the donkey starts going again. And he said, I thought you said you treat him with love and kindness. And he said, yeah, but first you got to get their attention. This is an attention-getting action. The people are not, it's funny in this country, but we don't pay attention to anything until property is involved.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
So, the only other thing I was going to say too was just like, in the discussion about police brutality in the 60s or 70s or whatever, I think that if you look at that though, that police forces then, as opposed to now, were not nearly as reflective of society as they are now. In other words, your police forces then, I would make a pretty decent estimate to say we're mostly male, we're mostly white, and we're mostly probably 35 and older for the most part. And the ones that were younger than that were trainees that did whatever they were told. But I think police forces now nationwide are much more made up of, 25-year-olds, a lot of women, certainly a lot more minorities, Latinos, blacks, whatever, and are also made up of a lot more people with firsthand combat or war experience.
Fresh out of the military.
Who witnessed a lot of civilian brutalities and things like that, that turn them, an eye to saying, man, this is shitty. We should not treat people.
Well, I mean, to begin with,
they have a lot more experience, I think.
Kevin, I'm not saying that I agree with burning down buildings or anything like that. I'm just saying that if we can't prevent the disease, how can you prevent the? In other words, if you can't prevent if you're asking us to prevent the reaction, then why don't you do something about preventing the action that caused the reaction? That's all I'm saying. That are somehow, but the minute you start burning property, then people talk. People get mad.
I think if you see somebody lighting a match, you ought to shoot them in the hand.
Okay, what do you think, Kevin? Do you agree with Alan at all on that?
No.
No.
Oh, because Alan's being sarcastic.
Because Alan's being very sarcastic.
But here's the question I was going to say though on the cop who went to jail, Chauvin, I think is it.
Mm-hmm.
See, would he have gone to jail if they didn't have this on tape, on camera?
No, absolutely not.
And this is why and then he would have got away. It would have been he would have murdered a guy. The only reason why he did any time and went to jail is because we had him dead to rights.
No, you're Charlie.
That's absolutely the truth. That's the only reason Chauvin went. That was the only truth between him.
If you didn't have that guy take that tape, he'd be still at the job.
Well,
right
I
now.
think the thing that has spurred on the whole Black Lives movement and a lot of the movements that are going on is the fact that we do have all these cameras out there now.
Yeah, but Alex,
and these things are being seen.
But here's a question that I pose though: if you didn't get him on camera, he'd still be at the job.
He probably.
But if I
still
murdered
would be
somebody
working.
in the street, I'd be in the big house.
Yeah, but you see, the fact is that because we're saying that if there was no camera there, he'd still be working. That bespeaks why we have to somehow start doing something about the
police. And wouldn't that bespeak that the police can't police themselves and do the right thing to say, hey, listen,
if somebody
we got to
dies
put a dime
like
in this guy. He's a murderer.
Did not have cameras in the 60s?
Well, they didn't have it like we have them now.
No, they don't have them like that, but they did have them, and they did show them. And they
but
did.
Kevin, would the cops have gone
well,
for this guy?
we had somebody.
I understand what you're saying.
First time we ever saw police
That's the
action on
problem.
tape.
They would have covered his ass.
No, I understand what you're saying, but they were there.
We were fucking murdered.
Yeah, but I think cameras were almost considered to be illegal.
Yeah, they were.
They would have covered his. They would have covered his ass because the police.
Hold on a second, Tony. Hold on.
And that's why you had the Nat Commission in New York because Serpico took a bullet in the back of the head because they wanted to kill him.
Tony, you been drinking coffee tonight?
No, because you know what, Alex? A cop can get away with murder because they can't do the right fucking thing.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing that I'm.
Bullshit. They're not above the law.
We've got to do a better job of. In other words, if the cameras weren't around today, people would still be doing the same thing.
No, I agree with that.
You know,
I agree with
He's a
that.
murderer. Don't worry about it.
But here's where I don't understand. Here's Chauvin doing what he's doing, and there are people around him with cameras.
Murdered that guy,
Wait a minute,
Alex,
hey, please, Tony, let me talk.
No, I'm sorry. That's
let me talk.
disgusting.
Let me talk, please.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Chauvin is sitting there on this guy's neck, and everybody around him has got their little iPhones, and they're taking pictures of it, right? Doesn't he know that? Is he so stupid that he didn't realize that he should do something about it?
He deserves
that he
to go to
can't.
prison.
He's going to be called to account for this.
Good.
No,
Good.
but
I
I'm
hope he
saying the
goes to
cameras
prison
don't seem
forever.
to stop
I don't
anybody.
think I don't think he thought he was killing him.
He might not have, but he knew he was putting him out. I mean, there
Ray?
were 3 guys there.
Ray?
There was no reason not to go
I don't
after
buy
him.
that, John.
Hold on a
I don't
second.
think
Ray
he
is
was
trying
going to be protected by
Ray
the
is-
police, like
yeah.
he usually, like everybody else
Like
was.
they
in the
usually
past.
walk away
Ray,
from him.
Ray is trying to say something.
Oh,
Ray?
I just wanted to say, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that the person who took the full video of the whole thing was some young woman, and she got a Nobel Peace Prize for it.
No, she didn't. She got a Pulitzer.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, Pulitzer? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was a Pulitzer.
Yeah.
She got
Oh,
a
okay.
full-
Pulitzer.
Yeah.
She's not even a
I don't know, I just
journalist.
thought that was-
She's not even a journalist, you're right. But
No, it was a woman. It was a woman.
Yeah.
It was a teenage kid.
Yeah, she was like 18 or something.
Well, let me just ask you. I
Like a
just,
Doesn't matter.
No, because Tony said it was a. I'm sorry.
It's
Because
irrelevant.
Tony said it was a guy with a camera, and I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a woman.
That's okay.
irrelevant.
I was just trying
Doesn't
to.
matter
yeah.
who did
He
it.
knew what he
No,
meant.
I was
It
just trying
wasn't
to
a matter
clear
of
the. Never mind.
gender.
wait a minute. Will you let Ray finish what he was saying? Go ahead,
I'm
Ray.
I was just
Job.
trying to give some credit to the actual person who did it. It wasn't just
That's
some
all
guy
fine.
standing around. It was a young teenage girl who took the long.
Oh,
video that everybody saw. That's all.
her video was a watershed moment. Okay, but I don't know if she should have gotten a Pulitzer for it because she just saw something going on and she started shooting it. You know.
Yeah, I'm not making a judgment about whether she should have gotten it or anything. All I was doing was just reminding Tony who did it. It wasn't like.
Which
You know what I don't get,
which
though?
begs the question. I have a big question for you. Today was the day in which it's not Juneteenth. Tomorrow is Juneteenth, but today was the day we observed Juneteenth. So what did you hold Juneteenth parties? Any of you? Charlie, did you hold a Juneteenth party at your house?
I've been in Texas 40 years. I've never had a Juneteenth party.
Yeah, I I don't know. I don't know about that.
They're going to drum you out of the black union.
Yeah.
Over that.
They're going to make you give your black license back or something. I mean, you talk to other blacks, right? In your day-to-day meanderings. How do they feel about Juneteenth?
Well, I mean, it's important to some blacks, yeah, especially native Texans. But I grew up in Chicago.
Yeah.
I never heard of Juneteenth till I got here.
Yeah, right.
Woo, Chicago! Halsted Street.
I've spent many an hour on Halsted Street.
Yes.
Isn't that a gay neighborhood?
I don't care.
John Larkin has his hand up. John.
Yeah, the lady's name was Darnella Frazier, and it was a special citation award.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't like a fiction or
it wasn't a Pulitzer. It was hey, good
it was
going.
still an award. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was a good thing she did. I mean,
I took guts too.
Oh
they came after her.
Did they try to stop
Hey, you know
her?
what? On my way to New York to see my husband, I'm going to go to Texas, and Charlie and I are going to have a barbecue.
Can I do something my mother would have loved to hear, Alex? I always wanted to do this. Ready, Alex?
What?
Honey, I'm home. He probably just rolled over in heaven. Leo, you're never going to believe this.
No.
Oh, what is she doing here?
Yeah.
Honey, I have to work late tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
my mother was so happy when he said that.
I mean, basically, I just, I for some reason, I don't know where I developed my disdain for the police.
I don't think it's disdain, Alex. Because I am not negative cop. I just don't like bad cops.
Well, you don't know that my feeling isn't disdain? How dare you tell me what my feeling is? And
I'm sorry. Well, maybe I'm only trying to. You're right.
You know, Tony's got a point. Most good cops don't like bad cops either.
Because I know plenty of cops.
Right.
I mean,
and
I have
most
two
of them are
detectives here in
good
the
people.
family. One is retired. Both of them are retired.
Well, sometimes I'll come on the show and I'll put down something that Israel has done, and they go, "But you're Jewish," and I go, "Yeah."
He's an
So that means I
anti-Semite
have to
that's
like
Jewish.
every Jew,
No, it's about right and wrong. How simple.
Well, I mean, I just always felt that the police were, when I was growing up, they just had too much power. Okay.
Yep,
And
I agree.
these were not what I considered great people who had this power. It usually was people who never had any power in their lives, and now all of a sudden they had it because they got a gun. In fact, I always used to make a joke about the guys I would run into who would become cops that I went to school with. All were the big juvenile delinquents when they were in school.
Yeah, you're
right.
My friend Michael Denchowski became a cop, and all he did in elementary school was sniff glue in the back of the glue.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, he was stupid as the wall. I was like, oh
Well,
my
you're gonna
God.
be
This kid,
stupid.
my sister says, Michael's a cop. I said, holy shit. Hope it's not in Queens, I said.
You know what's funny is
I wonder if
we're
we're glue sniffers.
anybody know who
We're glue
Anybody know who Ken Diamond is?
No.
And he became a cop. Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver.
Oh, well, Shecky knows that. He's a cop?
He's since passed away, but he became a
He didn't
cop.
make any money on. How do you go from being an actor to a cop?
Because
unless you're Beretta.
Hey, wait a minute. Number one, there are no more. Wait a minute.
Surprised.
Can I
how
talk?
many people have
Let me talk.
played
It's my show, okay?
Yes.
How it happens, Tony, is you're a bad actor, like he was, and you can't get any other work. Okay.
You think they got paid good, Alex?
And so you figure, what am I going to do with my life? And you go, I always wanted to be a cop. And then you become a cop.
Yeah, that's a drastic
and
change.
don't say, how do you go from being an actor to being a cop? Most actors don't work.
The funniest one was Steven Seagal.
Well,
in Orleans Police.
Ask Ray.
Wait a
minute, hold on a second. Tony, calm down, Tony.
It's the call.
Ray Renati is an actor. Am I right, Ray? Most actors don't work.
Ray's been talking nonstop for 5 minutes and has mic off.
Based on that bike, if you take the thing
Okay, will you let him
spin out of the
talk,
garage.
please? I asked him a question. Will you let him talk?
Yeah, right. Most actors are usually unemployed.
Really?
Yeah. No, I think they say that 98% of our union is out of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time when I was in, and then people go through spurts. Like I was employed almost all the time for about 4 or 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then I wasn't. Yeah, it's and Alex, you've been through that a whole bunch of times. Right?
Yeah.
Do you get commercial? I always wondered if the commercial people got paid a lot, like the movie.
Oh, they get a lot. Oh, absolutely.
If it's a national commercial, cha-ching.
Well, that pays.
I used to love the commercials from the '70s.
Commercial. You can if it pays a lot. If it plays a lot in the right markets.
Yeah, Flo is making
if
a
you're
bunch
like,
for
You get a national
like show like the cell song.
I can't get a word in edgewise on here.
Sorry. Can you imagine me on a be a
Everybody's
commercial?
taking over his show.
Sorry.
Well, no, I'm just trying to say something to add to what the question is here, and that is that the most money I ever made for the littlest amount of work was when I did a couple of commercials. I didn't do a lot of them, but I did commercials. But if you did TV commercials and you did a national TV commercial and it ran for 13 weeks, you made a lot of money out of that, right, Ray? You could walk away with $25,000-$30,000.
Really? For a couple of days?
I have a friend who in LA, he does like 2 or 3 commercials a year.
Mm-hmm.
He does 4 or so guest spots on TV shows, and he makes a very nice living.
Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah. Because what happens is you get paid. You get paid every time it gets played, and then if they renew it for another 13 weeks and keep running it nationally, I'm not talking about local, but nationally, you keep getting paid pretty much what you got the first time around. You know, it's very, very lucrative, but there's so few people doing that. And what they do now is they also cast these things and produce them in smaller cities where they don't have to pay union rates. Okay? So that's been the new wrinkle in the whole game. I mean, I talked to a friend of mine, Pat St. John, who is does voiceovers, and you've probably heard him 12.5 times. And I said, I want to get into doing some voiceovers. How do I do that? He said, forget it. There's no work out there. He said most of the work is being done in small towns across the United States. They go do a lot of the audio. They have some guy in Des Moines do it, and they don't have to pay him union rates.
Especially with COVID now, that's become huge.
Yeah.
People were auditioning remotely, and they realized they could save a ton of
And
money
he said
than
it's
they have.
too difficult. He said, I'm lucky I'm in it at all, but I got in it at a time when I could when I could establish myself. So that's what happens. But Eddie Haskell became a cop because he probably didn't mind the idea of becoming a cop. And,
Exactly.
you know, and he was
And Steven Seagal became a cop because he was just an asshole.
he was just an asshole. Yeah, exactly.
David Lee Roth became an EMT after they
He was working in New York overnight.
Absolutely, he
Yeah, I
did.
remember. I used to listen to
Now
that
that's a job.
man.
It gotta be nice to be an EMT. You know,
He's
you feel
smart.
you're doing something. If you save a life
Yes.
or whatever,
Absolutely.
you know, that's got to be. There are certain lines of work. You know, I always said if I were a doctor, I guess I'd want to be like a baby doctor, because for the most part, your patients aren't dying on you. They do occasionally,
true,
but they
yeah.
aren't dying on you. And then women are giving birth, and they're happy, and the family's happy, and you know, it's a happy business. But man, I would not want to be a cancer doctor. You know, I mean, you know,
My mom, when my mom lost my dad, she was going to nursing school and she went into oncology.
Mm-hmm.
And she was there for about 5 years, and then she went into prenatal, and then she went into birth. So when I had my son, she was at Tracy Sutter. Boy, all those nurses knew who my mom was, because by that time she had been the head honcho at Washington Hospital in Fremont. And man, she loved it. It was all newborns.
What medical profession do you think has the highest suicide rate?
Dentist.
Psychiatrist.
You're absolutely right, Tony.
Yep.
I remember you saying that, Alex. Dentist.
Dentist. Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it's so fucking boring.
All they do.
I mean, what is it? It's not medicine, it's carpentry. You know, and pretty much, what do you go? Oh, well, I put another tooth in somebody's mouth
That's
today.
a lot of college. To do
Wow.
And nobody wants to be there. Like everybody just doesn't want to see you.
I mean, certain doctors
Drinking.
can say, "Hey, I saved a life today," or "I made somebody's life better by taking care of their problem." But the dentist, it's just like, "Oh yeah, I got to do that," and they drill in there and they do the carpentry. It's carpentry.
I pulled a tooth.
And the boredom is what causes them to commit suicide.
I made
Supposedly.
$7,000 today.
Give me that.
That's got to be a hard job.
Well, I don't know that dentists do not get as well paid. I have an oncologist who did a radiation thing on me, and then he did the seeds on me. And between the two, my insurance was charged $110,000. Now, I don't know, once they get whatever Medicare will give them, there's a lot less than that. But I still want to know what he walked home with for like an hour's work.
Oh, he probably got paid a lot, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, he saved my life, so I'm not.
Thank God. Yeah, you're right.
I'm not going to complain about it.
And he went to a good school, so I guess let him make the money.
Well,
And a couple of us here. Jeff was trying to say something. Jeff?
I said, you know, these doctors have to go through quite a training, particularly if the guy is like a brain surgeon.
Yeah, but I had one doctor who was about 70 years old tell me that he has to, he had to go to medical school. He's got to pay that off. And I went, "You haven't paid it off yet?" Come on. You can't use that excuse now.
Yeah, you're right. That's got to be long gone. He's 70.
Don't they have to go, to get trained for the new technology as,
I think you do.
New stuff comes
Yeah,
up?
I think there's a constant, you have to constantly retrain, or if there are new protocols and you want to use them, you have to go to take a class on it and so on. Who's had a lot of medical here is Kevin. Kevin, you've had some. Your whole back is shot, right?
No, not my back.
What is it exactly? It's
My legs, my ankles.
Your legs, your ankles. And,
Phil's always in the doctor too.
And we can't even begin to imagine how much money you've spent on that process.
Oh, that's tricky.
Now he's laughing. What we got an estimate for us?
Oh, fuck.
No.
No? Is it more? Is it
a lawsuit too?
Oh, really? Is it more than my my radiation and
I
seeds?
have no clue.
Really?
It's been going on since 2004.
Jeez almighty.
Is this a wake-up call for you, Alex? That doctors make a lot of money and rip you off?
I don't think they're ripping you off.
I don't think they rip you off.
A doctor, let me put it this way. I go to my doctor's office. Oh, we're almost run out of time here. Just quickly, I run to my doctor's office, and what's he got? He's got like 5 women there who are all dealing with the insurance companies and the billing. So their overhead for staff is not tiny. Okay, so that would be my take on it. So that they do have expenses. So whatever. In fact, my doctor, once they get through with Medicare and stuff like that, my doctors make about 5 cents on the dollar.
He pays you.
Yeah, he pays me. Hey, listen, that's the end of the week, and I thank you all for having joined me. Boy, the sun has gone down where Schmoody is. We can hardly see her right now. Thanks, John Larkin. Appreciate it. Always appreciated having you here and putting your 2 cents worth in. Thanks to Josh Wheeler and to Charlie Wallace. Kevin, always a pleasure to have you here. Always a pleasure, Tony. Same with you, Ray Renati and Jeff Stein. And the lovely and attractive, the pulchritudinous of Kathleen Schmoody.
Honey, I'm home.
Everybody give a big wave.
Honey, I'm home.
Everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll wave back at you, okay? Saying goodbye to you. There they go, folks. There they go. That's our citizen panel for this week. we'll have more next week, okay? Meantime, Jack Bishop is next. He's here with the Intersection. He'll be taking your calls on Skype at GabNet Live. I'm Alex Bennett. We'll be back again next Monday at 4 o'clock with our little Facebook gathering on our pop-up show, and then we'll be back here on Tuesday, 10:30, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, if you aren't, get vaccinated, okay, will you? Thanks. Bye.